Here we go.
All right. Welcome, guys, to another episode of what is it? The Big Picture here on the Uwe Boll Podcast Network. I was able to get Uwe Boll out. He is flying to Croatia tomorrow. Welcome, my friend.
Hi. So gets dark here. Tomorrow morning we fly. The prep is going since 3-4 weeks, and it's cold there. Like here, it's like 0. So I told Army Hammer, put warm underwear on under your costume, whatever it is. So yeah, that's not yeah. But look, I'm used to shoot films in like harder environments. Let's say it this way. But I'm very inspired and very much looking forward to do these films. We got this film. I think we got a lot of press already, and I have to say worldwide. And I think that shows that, of course, the title, but also that I do another real action film, and that Army Hammer is in it, is a good thing. You know, I really hope that we. In a way, come back to this South on Wall Street rampage kind of direction in that film. We have a lot of action going, and I hope that the market appreciate it. You know, so
can you tell us a little bit about what the film's about?
Yeah, I mean, the basic story is that he is an American and he inherited from his abandoned father, like the father basically left him, and the mother died early, and he basically gets only the news that his father died, and he inherited a lot of real estate in Croatia. And so he comes there, and then he sees a lot of, he's kind of bored running this company. And at the same time, he sees there's a lot of like crime and injustice going. And so he goes after the perpetrators, different ones. You know, it's like not like one specific case. It's more like he reads the newspaper like us, and he tries to find out stuff on his own. That's a very bad thing for the local police. And then Interpol comes also in when he starts going on like vigilante rampages in a way. And so they try to track him down. And as usual, he is then the big enemy we have to catch instead of catching the criminals, because that is he doing in a way. So he gets a lot of social media support. You know, like people say, yes, you know, like it's ridiculous that this rapist got free and runs around and stuff like this. So it's a little like Death Wish with Charles Bronson, or The Equalizer, but he doesn't have any superpowers. He's not like John Wick or something. He's just a normal guy who gets armed and, of course, is sportive and, you know, has this kind of fighting background, but it's not like this over-the-top action film. I felt similar to the First Shift film. I like things that are more based on how it actually would look like, how actually things would unfold, and not like this. I just watched that new Bad Boys film. It was on Netflix here. And, you know, I didn't watch it when it came out. And I think it's so overdrive bullshit. Like all these films now are going sideways. You know, it's this kind of the classical action film, like the first Die Hard, the first Bad Boys. This was all stuff people could actually maybe do, like the old James Bond films, Mission Impossible, you know, and then it turns away into sci-fi, basically, you know. So, and I think that's very bad. And I just read something and sent it around. I want to just, like, it was an article in a film magazine here right now about Hollywood's self-inflicted wounds. So I quick read it and then you can talk about it. Regardlessly, if California were to expand its tax incentives, it wouldn't solve Hollywood's more profound, insidious problem: its creative stagnation and managerial ineptitude. The industry is plagued by a lack of originality or fresh talent, with studios and networks favoring insular, nepotistic hiring practices that reward connections over capability. Instead of championing groundbreaking storytelling, executive chases formulaic content paralyzed by risk aversion and an obsession with corporate synergy. Furthermore, a groupthink culture has stifled originality, leading to a glut of remakes, reboots, soulless franchise extensions, and overt political messaging in nearly every production. Meanwhile, producers who consistently oversees flops continue to fail upwards, insulated by an industry that rewards mediocrity with bigger budgets and loftier positions. This toxic cycle has eroded Hollywood's reputation as a beacon of creativity, and no banning TikTok is not going to magically send younger audiences flocking back to uninspired, committee-approved content. I think he nailed it there, right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that a lot of people, like I said, I recorded a little thing earlier today, and I mentioned that people are really kind of suckers in a way where they're buying it at face value. Like the PR, let's say behind these films, the PR will directly say, "This is the movie of the year." And people are so suggestible, and they're just, I don't know what it is. It's like this like brain rot that they're so suggestible that they're like, oh, it must be the best movie of the year. A critic says a movie is good, they'll repeat. They're like the amalgamations of all these different people's other thoughts, thinking that it's their own. And with movies, Hollywood produces stuff of such a narrow scope, like you say, within that corporate think tank box, because they're so afraid of bleeding any kind of money. They want a reward with every production. They want no losses because they want year-on-year growth. That any creativity, anything different is kind of lost. And people who are born in 2025, or no, 2020, 2005, I mean, let's just say people who are young, people born in the early 2000s, they'll only know the movies as this very limited kind of product within a very limited range. And then from that way forward, that limited range gets smaller and smaller and smaller as the corporate think tank wants to continually cut the fat, and nothing is able to grow. It's all the same shit over and over. Like, it's like, oh, How to Train Your Dragon, the cartoon was good, so let's make the cartoon series. Let's make the TV shows. Let's make multiple sequels, because they know that it makes all toys. Meanwhile, there's no other franchises. It's the same franchise, part 5, part 6, part 10. And sometimes that can be endearing, but at the same time, they also get the message where it's like, okay, only genre stuff sells. And we end up where we are fucking now, where like the movie theaters are like, why is nobody coming? It's because people will only come out for these big, huge, expensive movies. And even then, look at Madam Web bombing. Now people are starting to reject shit and just stay home because they're becoming that picky. So Hollywood's getting the fucking, you know what I mean? It's just a fucking, it's fucked up. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think that what we've observed, right? I think 10 years ago, we were both already starting that the people like started their film education with like Star Wars, like with the show. But now the people started their film education with like Star Wars, the new Star Wars, not the real Star Wars. You know, they don't know the real Star Wars anymore. That's now the groups who running around and go in the movie theaters. So the audience, and we had the same, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we said, why is now all that franchises endless? Why is it 2 hours, 40 minutes? Why it's 2 hours, 2.5 hours for Bad Boys or what John Wick? Why these films now are like epic lengths? Because I think it comes from the fear-driven studios that they think we need to make it bigger, and that another action sequence comes up when everybody's already tired of it, and then the people will pay that money. They will come. And this gets now punished by the audience, right? So because I think 50% of this so-called big movies tanked. You know, you have whatever, like various like Black Adam, whatever, like as you said, Madam Web, and strong franchises like the Venom also didn't really performed with the last part. Like stuff like this where they're feeling it slowly but steady. They're losing the grip on the audience, and then they make, I think, one major mistake. And the major mistake is that besides this, like boring, over CGI, over budget like films, the second tier films who were very commercial and interesting 20 years ago and running for the Oscars are now not interesting for the audience. You can give Emila Paris or The Brutalist as many prizes you want. Nobody gives a shit about that films. That's the
Well, you know what I find is a
watch
big problem? Like all of the dramas now are given such a lower budget that they don't look like old Hollywood movies, like even not even that old, like in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, maybe early 2000s, they were given a budget and they looked like more expensive films. They were given like $100 million budgets. Now the dramas, are they really given that kind of budgets? They're all like A24, so they kind of look a little cheaper, I feel.
Yeah, no, they look cheaper, but I think also the stories are not so interesting. I mean, the whatever, the Godfather was just a more interesting story as the films they're running for the Oscars now. I mean, it's like they are mostly this kind of super woke, diverse kind of films where you basically don't have a strong story to it. It's more like you have strong characters in a strange situation, but you don't have like, okay, we acquired that book, now we make that book. That's the thing. You had big event films with strong stories in the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s. Like if you come now today, let's say you have a book like The Godfather, and you come to a studio and you say, look, we want to do this thing, they would basically maybe not put the resources in it. They would analyze it and would say, it's too long and stuff like this was not so good in the past, whatever, and then you come like, let's do Glenn Powell in a new Twister film, right? And then let's do a new Twister film. So, that is then this kind of like going for the least common like decision in a way, right? So, and I think, they do Earthquake new now and stuff like that. And you think like, oh God, why they do that? So that's the problem.
They're brainless movies. They're brainless films.
Yes, I barely go to the movies because I'm not really interested in this kind of I watch the kids' films with water, but if I go in the movie theater, I don't want to see Conclave. I just don't want to see it. I give a shit, right? So but I also will not go in the next Jurassic Park film, right? I'm not watching that stuff anymore. I cannot take it. And yeah, because look, later when you be laying on the couch and you watch like me yesterday, Bad Boys, that's digestible.
Yeah.
You cannot really pay attention. You look at your emails in between. You go and get some food, and you're not really stopping the film. That's this kind of films. You can come back in after 10 minutes. You didn't miss anything. So, and I think that. But the question is, why is it not breaking off? Like, why is it not like, why these guys like Ted Sarandos, whatever, is not firing half of his people and get people in who love horror or who love action, who love John Carpenter, who, who would take a little more
Well,
risk.
I think part of it is just that a lot of people out there, at least from a film school perspective, when I remember even going to that, I went to that briefly, and people were real bastards who like thought their shit didn't stink. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who would swear up and down that they're the next best filmmaker. And let's be honest, there's very few that are actually really, really talented. You are talented. You're the exception. There's a couple of other exceptions out there, like Tom Six or some other directors with style who don't go by the Hollywood system. And I just want to say, in addition to that, that's what makes your movies, I think, interesting is the fact that your films are like psychological um, they're like psychological breakdowns of certain character studies. Like look at Heart of America. There's some really nasty characters in there, some really ugly stuff. And a lot of people will see these films and they'll say, "What the fuck?" They'll say, "This is really horrible shit. Why should I watch this? It reminds me of terrible things. They're really unlikable characters." And that's kind of the point. And I think that's lost in a lot of the manufactured cinema that we have today, where people are like, "Don't watch this film because it's disgusting. It made me feel really uncomfortable." Whereas I think that's super interesting that it elicited such a passionate response from somebody, and that is an kind of a it attests to how powerful the filmmaking is. And you don't really see that often. You see that a lot with your films, with multiple of your films. People are screaming, getting upset, and I just want you to know you're doing something right.
Sometimes you see I agree. It's like it at least makes the people scream about it or talk about it or cry about whatever, right? So, but they didn't get it out of the brain. And I mean, I watched like on Prime in Germany is Alone in the Dark right now, right? So when you start watching the film, like what you put out also, like you put various clips up from my films, and these are all good clips, right? And you feel like they're sometimes 15, 16 years old, and they look like modern films done right now. Like
Yeah.
a lot of visuals from the films I'm watching right now, who are made all digital, not on shot on 35 millimeter. I mean, at that point where we shot this film, 35 millimeter, there was CGI was a bigger deal and was expensive, and they could completely keep up with the films now, and they have more interesting, what I feel, even in House of the Dead or whatever, more interesting angles, more interesting kind of
Yeah.
twists. I
They're
just
stylish films. Yeah, they're just shot like almost like music videos. They're very interesting films. I really liked Alone in the Dark. You know this, and I think that it's great that I don't know if it's me pushing it so hard through the years or what, but people are starting to rediscover these films and starting to appreciate them finally. Even though they've seen them, they're finally starting to talk well about them and they're starting to see good things about them. And I think that's great. I think that they're like a genre into themselves. Like everything that you've produced is a genre into itself because it reminds people of Hollywood like everybody sees all these Hollywood actors or the Hollywood quality, like you said, it's very stylish, um, and I think that throws people kind of through a loop. And I mean, like look at Clooney Up in the Air. I don't remember what the fuck that was about. Yet I remember House of the Dead. So you know. So anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to kiss your ass or anything too much. This is all true. Like this is really true. And there's a lot of people out there who would really agree with me. You'll see them all on the feed. I want to say to everybody out there who is on our Uwe Ball, Twitter,
yeah.
uh, that Uwe Ball appreciates you, don't you, my friend?
Yeah, guys, you need to sign on to me because I'm shadow banned. Means you will never see anything what I post if you're not following me.
Yeah.
So that's
He's
my
Uwe Ball 7. So the Uwe Ball Raw is its own thing. It's
yeah.
mostly me half the time, but we go
Yeah, I
we
mean, you post
repost stuff.
normally you'll repost what I post so that more people can see it. But
Yeah.
I mean,
But
it's
you should follow him. You should because he is shadow banned. He got it checked, and it really is. They didn't shadow ban me for some fucking reason.
no,
Pretty
I don't
weird.
know. I don't know why you can be even shadow banned now when Elon Musk is all about free speech and everything should be, I mean, he should omit shadow banning. Like,
Even though we're talking about the movie and stuff, I'm curious about it because my last video kind of mentioned my reaction to Trump's inauguration and all that and his executive orders. I know you're in Germany, but what do you think about his executive orders? What are your thoughts on these?
I don't even know how many executive orders he did.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm not
he's
so.
not done yet.
No, I know he keeps going. Uh, I don't know how this concrete will, like for example, the deportation of migrants or not migrants, immigrants, right? So I don't know how this will get actually done, and you also have to be very careful to not throw the wrong people out. And
Hmm.
and that's the thing. But that he said it's an emergency at the border based on 10 million people came the last 3 years in. I think that makes sense to say now they need to observe and protect the border more and have to see who we can let in and who we can block off directly, right?
If Trump was really smart about this, he would start with Abbott in Texas, because those are all southern states that are feeling it the worst, supposedly. And instead of targeting New York or LA, which he's trying to make a point, he's trying to just be like, he's trying to really fuck with the Democrats by going for these cities. Really, he should go for Texas. He should go for Florida, here where we are. All the southern states is where he should start, because that's where they're going to be first. They're not going to travel all the way to New York. You know what? Yeah, I mean, some of them might, but not as many. So,
no, but look, I have the tantrum. The problem is this: similar to in Germany, I'm sitting in between the chairs, right? I think a lot of stuff what he said there was super pathetic bullshit. It was this kind of the pioneers conquered the West or whatever. It's all stuff where I'm not really.
but Trump.
Yeah, so where I'm not really reacting positive about this kind of glorious bullshit. So that because I'm very cynical and an atheist and so on. So for me, that's a little too much of the talk. I think also what was visible is that he has a big grudge for him for good reasons. He got really prosecuted very hard against all that people who were sitting there, like the Democrats and everybody, and he will go for revenge, right? So he will try to do stuff, but at the same time, just watch Jon Stewart about it, and he made the point, like, look, what Biden is doing with the pardons to all his buddies, the family, whatever, is ridiculous. I think in general, a pardon should be completely impossible to give. Besides a judge, a jury, state attorney coming to a conclusion that there was somebody wrongly incarcerated.
But I would say that what Trump is promising to do is completely like unhinged and unprecedented. No president has ever tried to attack the previous incoming administration, nor has any president come in trying to dismantle the government in order to make us think that he's fighting the deep state. I really think that he is removing the protections that we had from the deep state and opening the floodgates so that it can consume the United States. Like I said it in my last video, my last recording, that I think his goal is to erode the United States. He's bitter over what he feels they attacked him. They prosecuted him. So now it's him trying to erode the United States' institutions themselves, to try and change our way of life here in the United States, so that, you know what I mean? He's doing this.
But this has be two-sided. I think one motivation is 100% exactly what you say, that it's a personal motivation of revenge, and he wants to show these fuckers they tried to prosecute the wrong guy in a way, and now he shows who has the hammer, right? That's 100%. But I think he has good points to look in all the institutions. And when he said over the last 20, 30 years, government turned into like a self-serving institution, what is not anymore there for the citizens, it's not totally wrong.
Well, not necessarily. I want to point something out. Everybody here online, all this brainwashing is going on online with very vulnerable people. Like they're saying, okay, let's cut all of the social services, do the Doge, whatever the fuck it is, committee with Elon Musk, so they can cut the programs that are inefficient.
That's ridiculous. And I think that you cannot just cut the whatever, the Red Cross, or people getting food, or people getting food stamps, or whatever.
But the only reason why they want to do this,
I think we're talking about two different things. I talk about that, and that's in Europe even bigger as in the US. I think a whole new dimension of politics started growing like 20, 25 years ago, and they basically are in it for the money. As we see Nancy Pelosi, why she has now $280 million, right? So, I mean, she made a lot of money with stock trading with her husband on stocks that were proven that she had more information as the normal citizen on. And she's only one example, but I think there are a lot of Republicans too. It's like both parties. And I think that they started like to see, look, in earlier years, like a person who worked in the Senate, was a senator or was a Congress member, they had like 1 or 2 assistants. Now they have 20. So they made the taxpayer pay their gigantic argonaut of bureaucracy. And they growed. And also when you see a presidential campaign, 1970 was a few $100,000. Now it's $3 billion. So that's the thing. That is all too much. And it's good to say we need to come back here to the basics, that the government has to serve the citizen, that should be there for the people, and not like, oh fuck, we have people also to serve with, for example, if a fire in LA burns, who gives a fuck? Oh shit, now it really burns. Now we have to like do something. It's like, they fail on so many different things. To the population feels like let down by this apparatus. That's the key. And I think that Trump was one of the strongest points for Trump, while so many people voted for him too.
I think that it's been like wool over your eyes. I think that he's got a great PR this time out. I don't think that he's looking out for the people. I think that his intention is to erode the United States's like internal function, so people turn to privatization. They're forced to, because everything sucks so bad, from social services to schooling. He's going to make them all, this is where the cuts are going to come. So of course people are going to go to these fucking things, and we're going to have a completely privatized corporation. He's going to try and open the floodgates, as he said, to energy in other countries. And if he gets out of fucking NATO, who's to say that he's not going to become best buddies with Putin, and Putin is going to end up on the soil and in the White House, and who even knows if we team up with fucking Russia and attack NATO states or something. Who knows where this will fucking go? But it is against
the wants to be a president who didn't let wars happening, right?
Putin wanted the Ukraine to be shadow governed by Russia, and that's what the old guy who was in before Zelensky. That's why he got kicked out. Zelensky got put in. He couldn't control Zelensky, and then we're at where we're at now. I'm sure that Putin would love that situation, because if what's going to happen is they're going to shadow government where it looks like it's all. And then in reality, Putin controls everything. I think that's what's happening fucking here. I mean, it's just a guess. It's just a feeling. But that's not where I want this to go. I think that ignoring the rule of law, or, although I do agree with some of his executive orders, I think that he is too unhinged. And I think that destroying the United States of America from the inside, I don't think that he's for the people. I don't think they're for the people. They're going to fucking make the people desperate, make the people from welfare who are really suffering will never be able to get out of that. They'll be in that loop, in that cycle. Like, let's just say they happen to get out of welfare and they get an apartment. They'll never be able to save, because they're stuck in an economy like this that he claims he's like, I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make it better. Oh, I can't do it. It's somebody else fucked up. It's always somebody fucking else. He never is willing to take accountability. So I think he's all full of fucking hot air.
No, I mean, he of course, and look, what do you want to do? You want a president who in the inauguration says like, I don't know, maybe in 4 years we're looking like now. I mean, you want that somebody has big goals and promises big and keeps half of it. That is what you normally want if somebody new comes in. I mean, in Germany, we have the contra program to it. Our politicians, the only thing what they say is that we have to pay more taxes because everything gets so expensive. So they have no vision. They have like just, too bad that whatever, we don't have any more Russian gas. So now whatever, we pay 4 times more for electricity. Too bad for you guys. So that's the German mentality. We have elections in 3 weeks, but I cannot even watch these discussions on TV anymore because they are so like, they're also in only for themselves, but they're also this kind of like, they have no vision. It's this kind of, I think also, and I think Jon Stewart said that too, who's definitely a Democrat, is we have the feeling that a lot of people are actually happy that Trump is in charge, because they totally gave up on the Democrats to move the needle. And they hope, for whatever reason, that Trump, with all his egocentric stuff, is still doing something positive for them. So what we will see if this happens or not. But I mean, that's of course a very weak argument, but I have the feeling too, the Democrats are in this party right now is in the biggest crisis they were ever in. They don't have leadership. They have the old Obama running around or the old Clinton running around who had some kind of charisma, but they have nobody who has this kind of leadership feeling that you feel that guy could be the president, right? So and they're also inside of the party. There is no vision. You have Bernie Sanders who's super pissed sitting at the inauguration, and everybody says, yeah, Bernie Sanders, in way younger now, it's too old, but at least he had a vision. There was a plan. If you go with Bernie Sanders, you know that the working class will be better off. You know that the poor people will be better off. You know that the rich people will be not so good off because they will have to get more taxes to pay whatever, right? And you will know the minimum wage would go up under Bernie Sanders. But he never got even on the seat to be a candidate because the Democrats internally are not really socialistic. They're not really left. The Democrats are more liberals who basically keep the status quo. They never were making the rich poorer and the poorer richer. They never did that. Not Clinton did this. All the Democratic presidents actually never made any super positive things for the population. You know, you can say Obamacare. Yeah, that was maybe good, maybe also for some people too expensive, but the reality is 8 years of Obama.
Yeah. Well, you know something, I just wanted to say something really quick. So I said this in my last video that I I have like a love-hate relationship with the woke and the whole like blame Obama thing, because you know every president does some good things and some bad things, and I would say that Obama gets the like unfair end of the stick, and I think a lot of it really has to do with like people are like, oh, you know, this is bullshit. I would feel the same way over any president, but it's because he's black. Like, I want to make a point, and I made this point in my last video. It's like the Republicans' goal, it seems, is to keep people in these lower communities that are kind of like poor or on welfare down so that they're not able to ascend to become the next generation of Martin Luther Kings or Barack Obamas. Like they're used to having their lounges with other like rich white people, whatever, people like them that they feel comfortable around, and they don't want outsiders in their very elite little den of power play. They don't want someone from the ghetto or something to be able to work their way up through hard work and get there like someone like my mother did. Today, if I was a kid and she was in that situation and she was to raise me out of that, I don't think that it would have fucking happened. And great people, there are some great people from the streets. There are some great people who came from poverty. And I think that their obsession with keeping us down, with keeping draconian laws, various laws, to just kind of keep it so, like, he's like, our economy will be the best it's ever been. It will be the best it's ever been. That's what Trump says. It'll be good for the people up here in that elite society, but the rest of us down here will still have the same high prices. We'll still be in the cycle of, you know what I mean? I just don't feel like they care. I feel like Trump looks at the poor people as a necessary means to gain power, and he puts on a great show for them. He's great at the YMCA and the dancing and the jokes, and he's very funny and charismatic. But at the heart of it, I don't believe that he respects us, and I don't believe that he's telling the truth half the time. I think he's an excellent liar. And
Yeah, that's all. That's 100% true. He
yeah,
don't think that he really cares. I just count on it that a lot of things he's doing are indirectly good for the people.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
I hope that the
I know
Republicans
that he would
realize
never
that,
say it this way, the other way around. He would
yeah.
never do anything where he personally is not benefiting of.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So that the only thing we can hope is that it crosses this kind of threshold that a lot of things he's doing, the people benefit of, right? So, and
But
that's
the whole, what do you think about the World Health Organization? Isn't that a little bit?
yeah, but the World Health Organization had unbelievable, even terrorist helpers on their payroll in Gaza and Lebanon, that it's proven. They had a lot of people in the World Health Organization sympathizing with Islamistic terror against Israel.
Why don't they, did they fire them? That's not the whole fucking organization. It's like, I'm sure at Disney there's some fucking somebody who raped someone there somewhere, but it doesn't mean fucking, that you fire that guy, arrest him, put him in jail, and it doesn't mean the company is forever like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
that's what I mean. It's like that's the thing where Trump is wrong. You should, or before you exit the Paris climate stuff, whatever, is you should say we will negotiate and we have like conditions to the World Health Organization under we stay on.
Yeah,
If
it's
this conditions are not met, we get out. But if you say we just like on the day of the inauguration, like we are out by climate thing out, electro cars thing. I don't know, even with the electro cars, how he got away with Elon Musk to do this, that he goes full on burning fuel again for cars. That is a hit for Tesla if they really go through this, right? I think Elon Musk maybe hopes that no matter what, people go to electric cars. That Trump cannot stop this, basically, right? It could be. I don't know. We will see how this plays out. But I mean, there is, of course, like like with the for example, he pardoned the people from January 6th. So there I have no, but there I have a divided opinion about too. My
Mhm.
opinion is this: you cannot plainly let everybody out who was in the riots of January 6th. There were 5 dead people in the end. So means like you cannot just say everybody out. You need to see individual what they did. If you were just a guy who ran around and yelled "Stop the steal," right? And you got arrested because they had you on photo and they tracked you down and you got a 2 years prison sentence. I think to let that guy out now, they were all sitting already for maybe a year, is okay, right? So, and because I don't think that's like, I think what happened on this day was there was a plan to storm the Capitol from around 10% of the crowd. 90% of the crowd wanted to demonstrate in front of the Capitol, stop the steal. Then came that mass, let's say, this movement, what you have sometimes, right? Where you see, oh, it works. We go up the stairs, the people going away, we open a thing, the people getting into the Capitol. Let's go into the Capitol. I think a lot of this crowd were surprised about that they actually made it inside. And I don't think people like this should go to jail and their life should get destroyed. They lose their jobs and whatever. I don't think they should went to jail for it. But I don't know from all the 1,600 people who was what. So
I think it's a little dangerous, though, don't you think? Also, that they're in these jail cells for a year, like you said,
yeah,
and then they're let out, and they'd probably be pretty pissed off. And if you don't know who's from who, you don't know who's the violent one and who's not, they're going to be really pissed off. They're going to be let back into society. They're going to really hate the left, and they're gonna fucking, I want everyone out there, just we should watch all of these people who have been let out and see how many commit crazy crimes in the next 2 years. You know what I mean? I bet you there'll be a lot, because I bet you being in
why?
there, they
But
were
why is it?
already fucking nuts, but not all of them. I'm
Because
talking about the violent offenders.
but where's the risk now? Where Trump is the president, they will all behave, right?
They'll be like fuck the left, and they'll do all sorts of shit. Let's just say they're at a bar and some guy's like wearing a Biden shirt. I don't even know, I'm just making this up. And then they get into a fight, and then they just are unhinged on society because they think that the law does not apply to them, so more things happen in their wake because they're empowered by this. You know what I mean? It's just a, I'm just making up a scenario, but if somebody like when I came out of military school when I was a kid, I was
Yeah.
pissed, and I started doing all sorts of fucking crazy shit because I could and because I didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the mindset that I think, even though they're not teenagers, I think that being let loose, it's like freedom, fuck the world, that kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like I could see it getting out of hand. And those people, the violent offenders, don't deserve to be put back into society and cause more havoc. If we want peace and we want law and order, which is what the Republicans claim that they stand for, then why the fuck did they why did they let them out? Just for political reasons? Or do they actually care about the people in society and safety?
You cannot incarcerate people for more as 1 or 2 or 3 years to be part of a riot if they didn't actually did anything at the riot.
I'm just talking about the violent offenders. I think that him letting loose some of them, a portion of them, fine. But I don't think that's what happened.
No, I don't think they looked into 1,600 cases. I think they just said, who is in jail, who was at the riots? And then they said, here, these are the 1,600 people. The guy with the stuff comes out too, or he is already out of jail, I think. But so, I mean, that's the thing. But look.
Because my point is, what are they going to become? Where are they going to go from here? What will they're empowered now. And they're not necessarily sane people. But
I think
anybody who would do that has a problem with the sanity. Like that's fucking the crazy shit that they did there. It has nothing to do with them being Trump supporters, but I don't want those kind of people out in the world. That's all, so I say lock them up, but that's just me, I understand where you're coming from too.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So, I mean, he will continue with his orders. We will see. I think I sent it over to you. I don't know if I did. So British Columbia, Vancouver, and this state alone said if Trump put the tariffs up, 65 billion loss in the GDP in BC, 80,000 people unemployed, like get fired based on the tax. Like they has estimated it. What will happen?
But this is from the U.S. or which country?
No, Canada.
Canada. Okay.
Trump puts the taxes, the tariffs on Canada. Then British Columbia, the finance minister of British Columbia, released a statement. If he actually would do it, it would hit our most industry with wood, oil, gas. Canada exports to the US a lot. It would lead to tons of bankruptcies, 8% unemployment in British Columbia, and 65 billion loss in the GDP, and around 80,000 people would lose their job. So that's only British Columbia. So think about all of Canada, means hundreds of billions of losses for Canada. But of course, it's short-minded from Trump because his industry wants cheap resources from Canada. They want the wood to buy houses. They want the oil and the gas from Canada. So
he's holding them hostage, though. He's holding them hostage. That's not ethically sound. This is what I mean. They're supposed to be our allies, and he's fucking threatening them, basically.
You offer them, oh, come join the US, then I don't put the tariffs on you. That's blackmailing in the first position, and that's insane. And that is what I have a problem with that 100%. It's crazy. And what he doesn't get is that the US industry will then buy less stuff in Canada. As I just said, Canada will suffer from it, but they still need the product. So they will tell to Trump, but where are we getting the wood now from? Right.
So it's like the TikTok thing all over again.
Yes, and then Trump has to say, whatever, take it from the Yellowstone National Park. You have to but think about it, right? I mean,
oh my God, that would be fucking horrific. Are you kidding me?
But he said, drill. He said that yesterday again. He wants that the US is using US gas and US oil for their industry. So he wants to weaken the Canadian export into the US. So, and that doesn't work so fast. He said February 1st, he will put the tariffs on. Means the damage starts February 1st. But of course, most of the US companies who need all that stuff, don't forget, oil is not only for cars. Oil is also for machines and also for, you need that for chemical stuff, right? And a lot of products is oil and like cosmetic products, whatever. So means the production in the US will get way more expensive. And who will pay this? The customers. When he says the people have no money to go and buy stuff, with his tariffs, that will get worse. That will get worse, right? So it will be more. Everything gets more expensive then, and that's the thing. I think where he didn't really thought that through. He thinks tariff sounds like, I protect America. I'm good for America. Look, these fuckers in Europe, these fuckers in China, these fuckers in Canada, they sell all that stuff to us. Now they have to pay tariffs. And he doesn't see it that the tariffs are paid by the customers. And like nobody, it's not that Canada pays him tariffs, it's like production companies sell wood. Now they're getting 20% tariff if they sell wood to their partner in the US. Means they tell the partner in the US, this shit gets 20% more expensive now.
Do you know what I think he's doing? Do you know what I think? I think that he does know what a tariff is. And I think that he's only saying these things to get people to be on board with this idea so that when he threatens these countries, they will take it seriously. And it's like boosting his blackmail with the madness of the people. You know what I mean? Like the hype and all the news articles and craziness that goes with that. Because it has been a huge talking point. Like Trump's doing this, like what we're saying right now, but he doesn't understand what a tariff is. I think he this is his chess. Where he wants them to feel the pressure. It's a pressure point.
Absolutely. No, he wants to show Trudeau, who hated Trump,
Yeah.
that he can play this little fucker into bankruptcy.
Yeah,
Right?
it's all about revenge in this. It's bullshit. It's all about revenge. It's not about the people. It's not about our allies. It's not about harmony. It's about a revenge tour. And that's fucking so weak. He's such a fucking asshole. I'm sorry. He's such a fucking asshole.
No, I think the only tariffs he should maybe do is Chinese cheap product, like
Mhm.
what they flood the market with, right?
And that TikTok shit. He's the fucking start of that. That was such a PR stunt. Like the head of TikTok is there for his inauguration. That was such a stunt. The whole thing was like, President Trump has helped us restore TikTok. They took it offline for 12 hours to create a sense of panic from all the people who supposedly earn an income on that. And I mean, I would have been happy if it was fucking gone, but Trump is the reason why that thought ever came up in the first place, because of that rally shit, because of all the people on TikTok doing that shit at his rally. He wanted to shut them down. So let's not forget that he's the cause of it. Biden may have signed the pen, but Trump got the thought started. So I think he's a bullshit artist. So
Yeah,
he's brilliant at it. He's brilliant at it, but
I'm not getting you being a friend from Donald Trump, right? So that's okay. But before we wrap it up, that I watched Bill Mayer and he did a very good summary about the fires in LA, and that's a democratic country, city, and
it's
whatsoever.
scary. I can't believe
The
that.
the think about it. The fire department in LA has an $800 million budget.
Mhm.
Department for the homeless and drug addicts, 25 billion. So, and I watched Joe Rogan talked about it on the show with a guy from LA, and that's also the thing what I meant with the government. And we have the same in Vancouver where our restaurant was. This thing with the drug addiction and the homeless is a big business for some companies. Like that's the thing. It's like, it's not anymore, here we give you food or we give you this. There are a lot of companies, that 25 billion not going to the homeless. That goes to companies who say, we do this for the homeless. We feed them, we bring a tent, we bring a heater, we build a toilet. That's the reason. You remember the thing with the toilet, $2 million in San Francisco to build a toilet for somebody outside. Like that's the thing where, so do you have already lobby groups? They like it that it's so many homeless. They're not fighting it that the homeless, that there are less homeless. They like it that there's so many homeless. And that's a problem. And that also is something where you have to go to this kind of, they don't care about this kind of, with the fire trucks, whatever, there was no water in the reservoirs when the fire hydrant started, there was no water. in this is where we have so many fires over the last 10, 15 years. I don't remember a year without fires. So, and I don't remember a year where they didn't wrote, oh, if it was the right wind, it would be a disaster. And this disaster now happened. And I think that's negligence.
Yeah, it was a failure for sure.
Yeah, and that is on the Democrats, on that mayor, on the governor, and so on. And they, the fire department was not really managed wrong. I would not give this woman, the lesbian woman, whatever, any. I think she did maybe the same job as the guy before her. But what matters is that even she said we need funding, and it never came. And when you see these numbers, 800 million, 25 billion. That's a fucking disaster and a disgrace because that is something what Trump also said he will fix. Let's see, but what how LA, San Francisco, how these cities went down the drain with
a lot of California, a lot of that shit, a lot burned down.
And there's a democratic state, so they need to put the citizen first and the homeless person second. You will not fix the problem if you put them in, it's their right, and the right to get drugs and the right to be homeless. It's all bullshit. It's a drug epidemic, what turns into homelessness. So you need to offer rehab. You need to offer, it's not a house. They always say, the Democrats, it's a housing problem. Bullshit. It's first and foremost a drug problem. And if you don't solve the drug problem, you can give them a villa. It will be in shambles like 6 months later. It doesn't bring anything. And that's also a thing where I think the Democrats a lot of times, they put political correctness in front of common sense.
Well, I think also, in addition to rehab, a lot of them need mental health services because that might be what led them to start that in the first place. And it's probably exacerbated by being on the streets. You ever see those homeless people who are like talking to themselves as they're walking down the street? You know what I mean? Some of them have probably, you know what I mean? They probably lost their minds. So, yeah, no, those are all great points.
Yeah. So now we wrap it up. Tomorrow I have to fly, and I keep everybody informed what's going on the set of The Dark Knight.
Yes, everybody, we are gonna all check out The Dark Knight is being filmed. What is it, on the 28th starts?
Yeah, 27th.
27th. Okay. So look out for, set videos or pictures and
a little go around from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. And be sure to follow us on social media. Me, I'm Gary Otto 0. He is Uwe Boll 7. And there's the Uwe Boll Raw USA main, or it's Uwe Boll Net, I think. Uwe Boll Raw Net. But guys, thank you so much. And Uwe, it's a pleasure always.
Bye. Bye-bye.